Well, welcome everybody to outside the Caesars Forum here at the NFL Draft. And the Saints have traded up. The Saints are on the clock. They've made a trade with the Washington Commanders, trading their third-round pick, their fourth-round pick, and number 16 to move up 5 spots to number 11. So, Jim, let's ask you this before we know who they pick. Your initial reaction on the value, giving up a third and a fourth to move up 5 picks here.
You know, it's not a surprise, really. We talked about it earlier this afternoon in our other show that if they were going to trade up, make a decent trade. They don't have to give up the first-round pick, and at the same time, I think it's offensive tackle. I think I've been saying that. If they trade up, offensive tackle is my guess. Devin will be able to tell us this minute.
Yeah, so the pick is in, and the New Orleans Saints for the 11th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft select wide receiver Chris Olave from Ohio State.
Wow.
Okay. Well, it's not who we said. It's not who I thought it would be, but it is a guy that we've been talking about, Zach, for 2 weeks now. We thought that was a target of the Saints. It obviously was. I'm kind of surprised they traded that high up, but Olave's stock has definitely gone up the past week or so. I've seen him going up and up draft boards. Some was somewhere around 18 and saw him go somewhere around 12 or 13. So the Saints figured if they really wanted him, they had to go get him, and they did.
What that tells me is, number one, they liked him better than Jamison Williams. And number two, they knew that other teams also liked him better than Jamison Williams. And so they had to go make this trade to get the guy they wanted, and that's really what it's all about. I'm a little surprised. I thought Olave would be there at 16, but obviously the Saints didn't think so, and they have more information than I do. And so what are you going to do?
Yeah, I think for them going six or trading up for him, they saw receivers starting to come off the board. We saw Garrett Wilson go at 10. We saw Drake London go off at 8. So the Commanders were probably looking to take a receiver at 11, and maybe it was Olave or Jamison Williams, but maybe they felt like they didn't want to pass up on him, and that's who they ended up going with. And we talked about this earlier today that Chris Olave was probably the best fit of the first-round receivers for the New Orleans Saints, and then they went up and they did trade up like we predicted they might, but it wasn't for a tackle, but it was for a receiver instead.
Yeah, and I mean, look, the Saints needed a receiver. We all knew they needed a receiver. So if this is the guy they wanted, I don't see as giving a third and fourth round pick up as a big deal. This is a deep team. Obviously you can always strike gold with a third or fourth round pick, but they would just be improving the margins of their roster. I think you go up and get who you want. Now the question, Jim, is what do they do at 19? Is that a spot where they still have their eye on the quarterback? Are they looking for an offensive tackle, like maybe to fall to that spot? I mean, it's difficult to tell at this point.
Yeah, Zach, I think also we saw early in the draft that some of these offensive tackles, the first one doesn't go until 5, so you get 5 and 6 back to back. So that was kind of a surprise in itself. So like you said, I think maybe the Saints just think that they can still get who they want at 19 without having to make that the move. So although I don't necessarily agree with the pick, I think these guys have done this so many times, and most of the time when they make these trades up, they work. Not always in them in the past, but they certainly have worked in the past at different times in the past. So if that's the guy you want, to trade up and go get him, I have no problem with it.
All the talk about the Saints trading down, obviously they could still trade down from 19, but as of right now, that has not happened. And at this point, you've got bookends of Ohio State wide receivers. You got Michael Thomas on one side and Chris Olave on the other side.
Yeah, we know the Saints.
Okay.
I was going to say the Saints love their Ohio State players, and they made it pretty obvious that they were going to go after.
Maybe losing.
Yeah, I think we lost Zach here, but I was saying it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep, you're good. But it makes sense. It makes sense the Saints go after an Ohio State receiver because we know how much they love the Ohio State program and what they produce.
Well, Zach's frozen. He's right next to me, frozen here. But that's okay, Devin. There he goes. He's back again. We're in a very high traffic spot. We were actually on the move from the NFL draft location back because there were so many people getting on the internet. Bandwidth was absolutely awful. We've not been able to be on with a lot of people here. It's insanely crazy here in Vegas. We actually thought we're enough that we can get on. But actually, we found, the same. So it's like so we're kind of between perspectives and back go for the same. They're not big. So now we talked about it a little bit, but do you think now that the Saints they have to take a tackle now, right? I mean, we talked. You and I both were in agreement. They're not going to take a quarterback. They're going to. I think this is tackle.
Yeah, I think tackle should be the pick for the Saints at 19. It's gonna be interesting to see who they go for. Maybe they go Tyler Smith from Tulsa. I know he's been talked about as a Cowboys kind of looking at him as a potential draft pick. But yeah, I think the Saints are going to go tackle probably with their second pick. It just depends on who. And we just saw after the Saints took Chris Olave off the board at 11, we saw the Lions trade up and get a receiver of their own. So receivers been moving off the board pretty quickly and pretty fast. So we'll see what kind of continues to transpire throughout the over the next 10, 15 minutes as the Saints get ready for the next pick.
Let's do this. This is going to end our first 2030. We have look at Saints. We'll be back in just about 20 minutes.
Sounds good. We'll if Jim, you couldn't hear Jim there. He was saying we'll be back in the next 10 or 20 to 30 minutes to get ready for the Saints' next pick. But Saints select Ohio State wide receiver Chris Olave here at pick 11, trade up a few day 2 and day 3 picks to pick Chris Olave from Ohio State. But we'll see you guys in the next 20 or 30 minutes when the Saints pick at 19.